Hello again. This is Lawrence Wagner, Senior Engineer for Eichler Radiant Heating, to once again discuss your Eichler Radiant Panel system. Today I will focus on the absolute need to check the system operation prior to the heating season and the occurrence of a low pressure condition. As has been previously mentioned in another video, it is very important to operate the Eichler Radiant system every 2 months, even during a non-heating season. Never let your system remain idle for long periods of time. Following a set schedule of operation will ensure your system is ready for the heating season and will operate when the colder weather sets in. Always schedule a maintenance checkup in August, September, or October to avoid service delays. There are only a few highly qualified hydronic service technicians in the North and South Bay areas. It is common for Eichler Radiant Heating to receive hundreds of service requests after the appearance of the first major rain or cold weather. Since it is not possible to determine what problems exist for any malfunction until we arrive on site, it is very difficult to schedule the number of appointments which can be accommodated in a workday. A service call can take a minimum of 1 hour or 4 or more hours. Can you see the scheduling difficulty a service company faces every day? We at Eichler Radiant Heating are the most experienced and qualified company to perform your service, being in the business for more than 57 years. During the heating season, it is common that we are booked for 4 weeks or more into the future. We do try to take care of emergencies on a faster basis, but realize it is not always possible to respond within a few days. We cannot recommend any other company for service, knowing the poor quality of work you might encounter. With the service season now in full swing, our technicians are noticing a large number of low pressure conditions for the Eichler Radiant panel. The normal operating pressure for either a copper tube or steel tube system is 10 to 25 psi. Many of the steel tubing systems have the pressure reduced to 5 psi or less in an attempt to promote the longevity of the tubing system at the detriment of overall system performance and safety. With the radiant panel being a closed system, when low pressure occurs, the water within the system has gone somewhere. Water loss resulting in low pressure can be attributed to a leak in the radiant panel tubing, a pressure relief valve, fittings around the boiler, an automatic air vent, or a malfunctioning pressure gauge. When the pressure goes lower than 10 psi, the water in the system has been lost and the safety water makeup or pressure reducing valve has failed to refill the system. This low pressure condition is dangerous for the older systems and can cause overheating and failure of the boiler equipment. It has also been known to be a fire hazard caused by a boiler firing with a dry condition. The new high efficiency condensing boilers will sense the condition and keep the boiler from operating with low pressure. However, the older boilers can continue to operate with low pressure and with little or no water present. When you are finished with this presentation, I would like to request you not hesitate and go directly to the mechanical room or garage where the boiler is located. The pressure gauge is usually found attached to an exposed pipe, on top of the boiler, on the side of the boiler, or under the boiler cover, being round or square with a plastic or glass cover. A representation of the types of pressure gauges may look as follows. The first gauge is pressure only. The second, third, and fourth gauges are pressure temperature with the pressure reading on the top of the scale. Observe the gauge and read the system pressure when the system is not operating. When the gauge is a combination supply temperature and pressure unit, ensure you are reading the proper scale for the pressure, that is, PSI or pounds per square inch, which should be clearly marked on the gauge. If it is below 10 PSI, call a service technician to diagnose the reason and to ensure safe operation of the Eichler Radiant panel, the boiler, its safety, and support equipment. All radiant panel systems should have an operational pressure gauge plumbed into the system. If your system does not have a pressure gauge, it is very important that you have one installed. The function and calibration of the gauge is tested with the pressure relief valve. A representation of the pressure relief valve is as follows. To check if the gauge is functioning properly, one can release system pressure by lifting the handle on the pressure relief valve. When this is accomplished, water will be discharged to the outside if so plumbed, and the gauge needle should drop, and when the handle is released, it should rise to over 10 psi as the pressure reducing valve automatically refills the system. As a note, if the pressure relief valve is plumbed directly to the floor and not to the outside of the building, you will need to catch the water with a small container when performing this procedure. Only perform this test when the boiler is not operating and preferably cold. It may take a minute or so for the pressure relief line to stop dripping after performing the test. Ensure it does stop dripping after 5 minutes, otherwise the pressure relief valve is unsafe and defective and will require replacement. If you suspect that the gauge is malfunctioning and the system pressure is okay, you can purchase a 30 psi gauge with a hose bib connection at a local hardware store. Simply attach it to any hose bib connection on the mechanical equipment and compare the pressure reading to verify the operational condition and calibration of the existing gauge. Thank you for your attention. I hope this short presentation has instilled the necessity to avoid long periods of system non-operation and a better understanding of any low pressure condition. Please visit our website at radiantheat.net for more information. Until next time, this is Lawrence Wagner, Senior Engineer for Anderson Radiant Heating, providing the Eichler homeowner with the true story and helpful information about the radiant heating system.